Cannabis reform, a step towards a brighter future. Hello, my name is Nate. Today we are going to talk about cannabis reform in the US. Many of you may or may not know what reform is, so let me start off by explaining. According to the Drug Policy Alliance, cannabis reform is simplified into three priorities: the decriminalization of adult use and cultivation of cannabis, the creation of a legal regulated market for production and distribution to adults, and finally establish laws that provide and protect the rights of medicinal cannabis. Here's a fact about marijuana that you may not know. Cannabis was recorded in the United States Pharmacopoeia in the 1850s. Then it increased in popularity again during the 19th century from 1930s through the 1970s, when it became listed as a Schedule I narcotic. The United States has seen a large shift in the push to legalize and regulate cannabis. This has been one of the biggest federal public policy changes in several decades. According to a Gallup poll, 66% of Americans support the legalization. As of today, MJBiz Daily reports that there are approximately 41 states that allow medicinal or recreational use of cannabis. With only 10 states that still have cannabis illegal, we have seen much progress with reform and regulation. Many motives for reform were due to unjust and extreme jail time for small amounts of cannabis possession, while some aspects of regulation have been left to state legislation. The federal government still classifies cannabis as a Schedule I narcotic. We have seen some major comprehensive marijuana reform bills passed by legislation like the MORE Act, known as the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which promotes cannabis production and the pardoning of minor-eligible cannabis crimes. The Medical Marijuana and Cannabidiol Research Expansion Act focuses on research aspects of cannabis so we can understand the medicinal benefits and negative effects. And the CLIMB Act, known as the Capital Lending and Investment for Marijuana Businesses. Companies and people of all different types of backgrounds are advocating for cannabis, from ordinary people to celebrities like Snoop Dogg and many other public officials. Many of the campaigns and efforts include reforming cannabis for medicinal access, further our research on cannabis, allow the cannabis industry to operate as a normal business, and the expungement of minor criminal offenses related to cannabis. Organizations like the Drug Policy Alliance and Change.org are all places that are trying to push cannabis reform. One person who has been advocating for the federal legalization of cannabis is Congressman Earl Blumenauer, which is a representative of Oregon, one of the 41 states that's had cannabis legalized since 2014 for recreation, medicinal use, and is granted state-funded cannabis research. Contrary to popular belief, even judges who must decide fates sometimes regret having to sentence people for small non-violent cannabis convictions. Like a Utah retired judge, Paul Castle, who had to sentence a mandatory minimum to Utah resident Weldon Angelos, a Hispanic father of two who made 3 sales of cannabis while in possession of a firearm in 2015. When cannabis was not allowed for recreational or medicinal use, the federal prosecutors treated each sale as an individual offense known as stacking and issued a 55-year sentence as a result. There have been many arguments regarding the legalization of cannabis, which include expungement of minor cannabis offenses, economic factors such as a multi-billion-dollar market estimated at $100 billion in 2023 by MJBiz Factbook, federal and state tax revenue, and medicinal benefits such as opioid abuse prevention. Nonetheless, there are those who oppose cannabis legalization due to their own concerns, like increased accidents caused by impaired driving, cannabis abuse, and unintended access by youths which can develop abuse disorders in the future. There is still much progress to be made federally in terms of decriminalization or rescheduling of cannabis. One of the reasons cannabis has not made much federal reform progress is due to the lack of bills passed by Congress. There are many reasons why cannabis has not been reformed, like tax regulation, market regulation, and banking. The government hasn't seemed to find its why on cannabis reform, while we the people have had our whys. There are many resources and references that millions of Americans are supporting to get cannabis reformed federally. Although we still have a long way to go, we have made significant progress in the last 10 years and still have many projects that are underway. Our voice matters, and it's up to us to educate and spread awareness. Please see the video description for additional resources and references to my research on this matter. Your time is appreciated for watching this video.